Oh, hi, I didn't see you there. Hi, welcome. Oh, I'm moving my... I'm getting choppy, don't worry about it. Hi, welcome. We are reading, or actually, we are playing Gay. Yes. What more do I need to say? I have tea, as always, to stay hydrated and keep my throat not ruined, I suppose. I put way too much honey in it, but I only did that because it kind of dries out my mouth towards the end. So it's like maybe I could balance it out with some honey. Anyway, how's your day going? Before we start, how's your day going? How are we doing today? I'm a little sleepy. I had to wake up at 10 today to take a dog to the vet. But I have been waking up at around 2 p.m. So that's something. I just went back to sheep. I just went back to sleep after that, but she just had to have one little tiny stitch taken out of her head because she had a little wart and they had to biopsy it just in case. But it's just a wart. It's not a problem. She's just getting old. She's just a crusty white dog. But yeah, I hope you're doing good. I hope you're having a good day. I hope that this game or this stream will help you relax a little. If you're having a little bit of a stressful day. Oh boy. You know, that's the first time anyone has ever used text-to-speech on my stream. That's crazy. Oh good for you. I'm happy for you. But yeah, I think this is gonna be a bit of a chill stream. I'm feeling like having a chill time. I'll have my jacket off for today, but I mean, I think if you redeem the jacket off redeem, I think it'll just put it back on instead. But yeah, that's what we're doing. We're playing Rain and the Wolf. It is a Little Red Riding Hood story. I believe it is. But gay. And look! One braid. One side braid. You can't see my mouse, but one side braid. Oh, I love it. Wait a second. I'm looking at my screen and it looks a little bit... Did I put a color corrector on my game capture? Hang on, let me look at the filters. I did. This is what it is without it. It's a lot more yellow. What do we think? With or without? Because with it, it'll... it's not really true to life. It's not really, you know, the way that it is, but with it, it does fit the theme a bit more. I don't know. That's a bit too much, though. That is a bit... I don't know, it's like... Bam. I do like it, though. I like everything pink tinted. But yeah, that's not red anymore. It's pink. Pink blood, pink blood. You know what? It fits. It fits. Alright. I'm gonna have to get up and feed the dogs in about an hour and refresh my tea, but yeah, until then, let's get into it. Is the sound okay? Just let me know if it's wonky. If I need to do things, if I need to go into the options, because I don't know if I can go into the options. I'm pretty sure I can, but, you know, after I start. You know, Ebihime always does these little rose, or like these flower motifs in the in the blocks. It's cute. Okay, let's start. I'm excited. Oh, what? Oh, you can see my mouse in this. How come you couldn't see it before? Or maybe I couldn't see it. Anyway. Ten was bleeding. He was slumped on the forest floor beneath the shade of an oak tree, his long legs sprawled out in front of him like a broken doll's. He pressed one hand to his side in an attempt to staunch the bleeding, but it was in vain. The wound was too deep. Black-red blood oozed from the cut, sticking to his spread fingers. It was thick and viscous, almost like strawberry jam. I know how that feels like, but it didn't smell sweet. A coppery tang hung in the air, richly metallic. Ten's shirt was slick and wet, and his palm, which he pressed against his wound, was scarlet. Rain took in this sad, sorry sight with a whimper. They're already whimpering? I love it already. He could no longer breathe through his nose. If he did that, he'd smell Ten's blood, and then he might be sick. The sight of the blood was sickening enough, but it was the smell which really turned Rain's stomach. It was much too visceral. Rain could try and pretend the blood was something else. He thought once more of strawberry jam, the thick, chunky kind that his father liked. But the smell... He couldn't fool himself about that. The smell was much too distinctive. It was a smell Rain knew well. The same stench had permeated the house in the weeks following his mother's death. It had taken months until the smell faded, and even then Rain thought he could detect traces of it as he sat in the living room, curled up with a book. His mom died, like, gruelly? Like, blood? I'm not voicing this line. I'm not doing this. Sheesh. Now wasn't the time to think about his mother, not when Ten was in such a state. He looks like he's... he looks like he doesn't mind all that much. He needed Rain, and they were far away from any help, deep in the forest, a good hour's walk, if not more, from the village. Maybe that was why the bandit had attacked them. They had been all on their own, away from the path, two stupid young boys who made easy marks. He looks a little too jolly about it, he does indeed. Why, Rain fretted, had they not listened to his father? Nobody listened. They're gay. You don't listen to your father when you're gay. It's part of the job. It's part of your occupation. Klaus had warned Rain not to stray too far into the woods. Klaus? Probably Klaus. Klaus had told him that it was dangerous. The forest was full of shady characters, and that was before one considered the wolves. He had been such a fool, him and Ten both. Ten was 4 years Rain's senior, and he was a fair bit taller than Rain, who had always been short and scrawny for his age. He was more muscular, too, which was why he had come between Rain and the bandit bearing down upon him. Ten hadn't been able to deflect the bandit's blow, however. The blade had perforated his stomach deeply, sinking into him with a sick, squelching sound. Alliteration, Rain knew he would never forget. There had been so much blood. There was still so much blood. It smelled of rust. It smelled of death. Rain's stomach was churning. I love this already. I'm enjoying this quite enjoying it. The two boys had escaped from their pursuer, beating a hasty retreat through the trees, but salvation seemed very faint and far away. Ten had lost too much blood. Even if Rain could have carried him back to Florette, or Flore, which he knew he couldn't have, Ten would probably lose consciousness halfway through the journey. Then he would die. How long had it been since the bandit had attacked Ten? Rain didn't know. Time had lost all meaning. Rain was only 12, and he was naive along with it, but he wasn't so unworldly that he didn't know what was going to happen. Rain wanted to help him, but... Rain... What could he do? Okay, hi, chest. Oh! Real. You're so real for that. Hi, Taki. How you doing? How you doing? How's your day going? We're being gay first thing in the morning. Except, I mean, okay, it is 6 p.m., but it's first thing in the morning for me, pretty much. It's fun. What could he do? Gay angst, specifically. Rain. I don't know what voice I'm gonna give him to. Okay, I didn't figure out his voice now. Work was ass, but it's over. I'm vibing now. Oh, yay! I mean, not yay that it was ass, but yay that it's done. It's a bit more satisfying when when you're done with it, isn't it? Okay, voice. I don't know what to do with this voice. I can't do like a sexy man voice. I can't do it. Rain, listen to me. There wasn't anything you could do. I need you to do something. He was helpless. I need you to go back to the village. Can you do that for me? What? Rain stared at Ten, his eyes wide. He's just a baby! He's just a baby! You mean, you want me to leave you? You have to. It's the only way. No way. Rain gasped, his face contorting with horror, the fingers of his right hand finding Ten's left. This hand, at least, was not wet with blood. Boy, do I know that feeling. I can't do that. I won't leave you. I can't leave you. I won't. Rain. Ten inhaled, perhaps in an attempt to steady his irregular breathing. He looked at Rain from behind his eyelashes which were very long for a boy. Sorry, I love that they just have to point that out. Had said after swallowing. I know you don't want to. I understand that. But if you really want to help, you need to go back. You won't be able to do anything for me on your own. Bring your father with you. He might know how to heal my wounds. Or how to stop the pain. This is the only hope I have. No. I'm sorry, it's so dramatic so fast. No! Rain quaked, his fingers tightening about Ten's. Tears were beginning to bead in his eyes, oh boy. They're gay down. Yup, they are indeed. Hot, salty tears that were disturbed by his furious blinking. Damn, that tea is sweet. Brain could see the logic behind Ten's words, but he still didn't want to leave him. He knew he wouldn't be able to reach Florette in time. Ten would die of blood loss before he was able to bring his father to him. That or a wolf would find him. The sun was going to set in a couple of hours. When the moon came out, round and full, the wolves would emerge from amongst the trees, their ears pricked upwards and their eyes cold and hard like stones. Ten wouldn't stand a chance then. The scent of his blood would attract them. God, he'd bleed so much it was a wonder he could still keep... He'd bled so much it was a wonder he could still keep his eyes open, could engage in conversation. Ugh, fuck. But Ten's coughing was becoming more frequent. How am I supposed to do this? You know what? I'm gonna try. I'm gonna actually try genuinely and don't make fun of me, okay? Okay, don't make fun of me. Ten's lips were flecked with blood which was beginning to flake away like paint. The rest of Ten's face, meanwhile, was deathly pale. Rain, please. Ten gave Rain's hand a squeeze. If you care about me at all, you have to do this. If you stay with me, I'll definitely die. You need to go back to the village. It's the only way. I know it might be scary, but have hope. Ten offered Rain a small smile, one which didn't look wholly sincere. I'm pretty tough, in case you'd not noticed. It'd take more than a single bandit to do me in. I'm not going to die here like a dog. Not if you go and fetch help for me. You should know that I'd do the same for you. Of course he would. Rain knew this well. Ten was only 4 years older than him, but he seemed immeasurably more grown up than Rain ever would be. Wait, Rain is 12, right? So 10 is like 16? He looks a bit older than 16. My guy. Oh boy. 10 was mature, responsible, and reliable. So much so, the adults in Floret all trusted him. They all said he'd been forced to be reliable after losing his father at such a young age. 10 had been doing his best to take care of his mother since he was a child. Rain knew, if anything happened to her son, 10's mother would be distraught, and maybe it was this realization which finally spurred Rain into action. Alright, I understand. 10 was right. He was always right. Rain couldn't save 10 on his own. He was powerless. I'll go back to the village. I'll go and get my father and we'll come back for you. He'll help you. My father's really smart. He knows a lot of things. I'm sure he'll be able to patch you up. He won't let you die. And I won't let you die either. I promise. A promise, is it? 10 laughed, albeit weakly, at Rain's determination. It was a wheezing laugh, one which didn't sound very dissimilar to his coughing fit. From his coughing fit. Rain wished that 10 wouldn't laugh. There wasn't anything funny about this situation. Rain had never felt less like laughing in his life. I'm glad for it. But maybe you shouldn't make promises you won't be able to keep. Bro! You're the one who just said have hope! I don't want to feel responsible for this. I don't want you to feel responsible for this. It's not your fault, no matter what happens. Little Rain. Okay. The ghastly sound of 10's laughter followed Rain as he dashed through the forest, tramping the twigs and leaves underfoot. He couldn't blot it out no matter how hard he tried. He would never be able to forget it. It was impossible. That was the last time that he saw 10. Now how... I should have expected this. This game is gay. I should have expected this. What? Rain Bremen. Rain Bremen. I keep wanting to say Brennan, but it's just Bremen. I'm gonna mix it up. I'm gonna fuck it up. I am gonna fuck it up all the time. Rain Bremen felt groggy when he woke up that morning. His head was pounding and he thought he could smell something coppery when he inhaled, something sharply metallic. The smell was uncomfortably familiar and intense alongside it, so much so his stomach began to churn. What was it? Rain wondered for a few moments, staring aimlessly at his lap, before realization dawned. He must have been dreaming about that again. 10's final words echoed in Rain's head, words he had clung to for over a decade. A baby! Maybe you shouldn't make promises you won't be able to keep. I don't want you to feel responsible for this. It's not your fault, no matter what happens. I need reverb on for that. For the flashbacks. Little Rain. Little Rain. 10. Rain muttered 10's name under his breath so softly it sounded like a sob. 10's name was only a single syllable, but it stuck in his throat. Rain pressed a hand to his chest above his heart, which beat within the confines of his rib cage. He was shaking. Well, that was to be expected. This always happened when he thought about 10. Rain has done his best not to think about that incident, but it wasn't easy. It had left a mark on him, one which would never fade. Rain had promised that he would help 10, and he had done his best to make good on his word. He had dashed back through the forest as quickly as he been able as quickly as his legs, which had always been shorter than Ten's, had allowed him. Somehow, miraculously, he had been able to return to Floret. I'm gonna use English wording pronunciation for that, and not French, because fuck the French. Without losing his way. It had taken him a little under an hour, but he had emerged from the trees at long last, his calves scratched to high heaven and his soles slick with mud. My boy didn't have shoes? Oh, his soles, never mind. He had rushed straight to the apothecary where his father worked, and had begged for his help, tears spilling from his eyes all the while. But it had all been in vain. They hadn't been able to save Ten. Rain and his father had returned to the woods, Ten's mother and Floret's chief, and a handful of villagers anxious to help trailing along behind them, but they hadn't been able to find Ten. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. Rain still wondered what had become of Ten. He had no idea. Had the bandit found Ten slumped beneath the oak tree and finished him off for good? It was always a possibility. There had been enough blood spotting the ground to support such a theory, but that was all it would remain, a theory. Ten's body had never been discovered, though Floret's villagers had searched long and hard for it. Ten's disappearance was a mystery, one which weighed on Rain almost as heavily as it weighed on Ten's mother. For almost a year after the incident, Ten was all Rain had been able to think of. He was all Rain had been able to dream of. Every night, when his eyelids slid over his eyes and he slumbered, he thought of Ten, his best, most beloved friend. His best, most beloved friend was 4 years older than him? Okay. Rain had been only 12 when the forest had taken Ten, and he hadn't been old enough to grow out of the childish hero worship he felt for him. He had never been afforded the opportunity, but Rain had changed all the same. He was taller now than he had been, though this wasn't saying much, and he was less of a crybaby. One might have expected him to cry after Ten's appearance, but it was actually the opposite. Rain had told himself to stop sniffling so much in Ten's absence, and had even gone so far as to pinch the inside of his arm whenever tears began to bead in his eyes. What was the point in sobbing when Ten was no longer there to comfort him? Boy! That's fucked up. There was no reason for it, and anyway, Ten had told him not to blame himself. Rain didn't want to disappoint Ten, even if he was no longer there. That was why Rain had tried to change. He wasn't the meek, mild-mannered boy he had once been, the boy who had, under Ten's orders, left his best friend to die. Yes, Rain was sure that Ten had died, though he had no proof. There was no way Ten could have survived in the woods on his own for so long. It seemed almost inevitable. It had been late when the rescue party had descended into the woods to look for him. The sun had already set, the sky a dark blue, black like a bruise. It had been the perfect hour for wolves to slink out of the shadows. Rain had even heard, at least he thought he had heard, an inhuman howling as he had explored the woods that night, carried from afar by the ice-cold wind. But this had happened so long ago that Rain couldn't properly remember. Maybe his mind was playing tricks on him, embellishing the worst night of his life for dramatic effect, not that there was much need. That night had already been miserable enough, without Rain making it worse for himself. Rain looked down at his hand, his fingers spread. He remembered holding Ten's own hand, not the one which had been staunching his wound, as if to impart some of his own vitality into Ten's enfeebled body. Rain had promised Ten that he would find help. He had told him not to worry. He had tried, really he had, but in the end... What do you mean Oh my god. Maybe you shouldn't make... I don't have reverb. Maybe you shouldn't make promises you won't be able to keep. it hadn't been enough. Rain hadn't been able to save Ten. Dun dun dun. And Rain hadn't been able to stop thinking about him since. You're not gay though? Okay. Oh, smash! What? What is this? Klaus! Oh my god! Don't look at me! Jeez. This. No, I can't deal with this. I can't deal with this. Oh. Goddamn. Goddamn! He better not be like a bad guy, please. Please don't try to kill everyone in the end, please. Actually, or do. You know what? Or do. I'm okay with that. I'm actually okay with that. What should I give his voice? Okay. Oh, you're alright, Rain. You've barely touched your breakfast. Oh. Rain started, his face flushing as he glanced guiltily up at his father. That's his... Okay, you know what? Fair enough. Fair enough. Daddy? Oh boy. Even better. God damn. Rain had spent most of that morning sitting in bed, lost in his own reminiscences. He wasn't sure how much time had passed, but it had taken a supreme amount of willpower for him to haul himself to his feet, and then to the basin where he had splashed his face with cold water. Rain had tried to push the lingering thoughts of Ten from his mind as he had wiped the sleep from his eyes, then dressed. Look at the ruffles on his shirt. That's so cute. Now he was sitting in the kitchen opposite his father. Rain had prepared breakfast for that morning, as he always did. He had prepared breakfast every morning since his mother's early passing. Every morning, bro. Rain's father, Klaus, was a capable man in many regards, but his affinity when it came to household chores was non-existent. That knocks him down a peg. That's a red flag. Oh boy, do I love red. Klaus might have been a dab hand. What? Might have been a dab hand with an onyx knife, which he used to prepare ingredients for his tinctures, but he couldn't peel a potato for the life of him. He could if he tried. Oh my god. Don't do this. Rain had prepared a simple breakfast of mushroom congee with herbs. Is it congee or congee? I've never actually learned the pronunciation of that. But it didn't appeal. He didn't have any appetite to speak of. That's kind of the worst thing to have in the morning. You don't really want mush in the morning. At least I don't. Preparing the food had helped him forget, at least for a brief while, about the dream, but now... You don't look well. Your face is deathly pale, and you have bags under your eyes. Haven't you been getting much sleep? Rain sighed, but he didn't reply. He looked down at his lap, but he didn't want to look at his food. The smell of it was beginning to turn his stomach. His fingers thudded together. His father was right about that. Sheesh, but he is fine. Klaus might have spent a good deal of his day in his workshop, crushing poppy seeds and cracking bluebirds' eggs, but he wasn't a negligent father by any means. He was attuned to even the slightest shifts in Rain's mood. In fact, Rain often found his father's gaze to be a little too discerning. Klaus was sometimes able to put a name to Rain's stints of melancholy before Rain himself could. How Klaus had become so insightful was a mystery. It couldn't have been because of his work, though. He's an empath. He moved up a step. Klaus owned an apothecary, which he had inherited from his father, who had inherited from his father, and so on and so forth. Klaus had been training Rain from an early age in the art of potion making, so that he could one day assume his role as Floret's chief apothecarer. Klaus's genius was unparalleled when it came to brewing tinctures. He was so proficient at his job he had courted the attention of not just Floret's villagers, but of people in the next city over. There were even some well-to-do people who made the 4-hour carriage journey all the way from the capital to buy Klaus's wares. Klaus had clients in high places, lords and ladies, which meant that he wasn't wanting for money. Klaus's aptitude with potions was remarkable, but his people skills left something to be desired. Klaus had always, during the running of his shop, left the pleasantries, the polite small talk, and the exchange of money for goods to his wife, Severine. I forget what that E accent is. That had been many years ago, however. Severine, we're just gonna pretend it's not there. Severine had not graced the apothecary with her light, lilting laughter in over a decade. She could not with her body interred beneath a tombstone in the local graveyard. Jeez. Klaus would be my you know. I wasn't gonna say it, but oh my god. Now the job of engaging with the customers was Rain's responsibility. Most of the customers were painfully dull and uninteresting, but a few had tales which managed to hold Rain's attention. Rain had learnt a lot without ever having to move from behind the counter in his family's dusty old shop, but Rain didn't feel like assuming this role today. He didn't want to speak to anybody, not even his father. Rain. Klaus's brow furrowed. It seemed to do that a lot, especially after Severine's passing. Klaus hadn't been half so melancholy while she had still been alive. The father that Rain remembered from his childhood years had been effusively, I've never heard that word before, effusively cheerful, rarely without a smile on his face. He had even hummed while he worked, slicing and dicing throughout the day. Klaus did not hum now. You're being so quiet. You're not hiding something from me, are you? Rain frowned. Was he hiding something from his father? He was unsure. There were definitely things he didn't want to discuss with Klaus, but that wasn't because he didn't trust him. Rain had been a mother's boy growing up, but he'd always been close to his father too. Then, after Severine's death, they had become closer still. Father and son had clung to one another, having no one else to turn to. Rain loved his father to pieces, but he did not want to make him worry, not over his silly nightmares. What was the point in that? Klaus had enough to worry about already. It's all right. I've just been having trouble sleeping lately, that's all. I could tell. You look like you've been tossing and turning half the night. Is there any particular reason? I don't know. It's just... stuff, I guess. Stuff? It's just, the past. Rain was being vague on purpose, but he knew there was no need for his specifics. His father would be able to pull some suitable meaning from that, and sure enough... yes. The past, of course. Klaus brought a hand to his face. He pinched the bridge of his nose between his fingers, looking old and worldly weary. Decidedly browbeaten. Fenry, hello, welcome! I forgot. I forgot you made that joke. Hi, welcome, we're reading gay shit. That's what we're doing. It's that time of the year, isn't it? It was in the summer that Severin... Klaus's voice trailed off. I love that stuff. Me too. That's why we're doing it. He sighed, and as he did, he succeeded in looking so very old that Rain's heart went out to him. What would his father think if he knew the truth? Would he be disappointed that he thought not of his mother, but of the absent Ten? Klaus knew that they were united in their grief, and for a while they had been. It had taken a while for the enormity of his mother's passing to hit Rain, but when it had, he had sobbed intensely, as though his heart might break from the sheer strain of his own sorrow. Ooh, that was good alliteration. Time had a habit of healing wounds, however, and numerous visits to her grave had helped Rain come to terms with things. His mother had passed away. These things happened. It was unfortunate, but life went on. What had happened to Ten, however, continued to stay with him, maybe because his body had never been found. Ten would never be laid to rest in the church alongside his grandparents, his great-aunts and uncles, his father, who had passed too young. Nobody knew what had happened to him. Sometimes Rain wondered whether he was still alive. But this was nothing more than wishful thinking. Surely he couldn't be. Well, I don't blame you if you're feeling blue. Truth be told, I've not been in the best of moods myself. Really? I hadn't known. Well, I do try to look cheerful for your sake. I wouldn't want you to worry. As your father, it's my job to look out for you. I'd be a poor excuse of a father if you had to fuss over me all the time. You say that, and yet you'd make me do all of the housework. Isn't it funny how that works? Look at that smirk. Look at that smirk. Also, okay, I have a theory that might come into fruition. If Ten... Okay, we all pretty much know that Ten's like a werewolf, right? And if Rain's mother died brutally, like blood and guts and stuff, you know, there might be a connection there. I'm just saying. That can add a little angst to this story. I don't know. It might be a thing. Oh, well. Klaus blushed and Rain grinned. Look at his smile! Werewolf, you say? Yes, werewolf indeed. They think Ten is dead, but probably not. Klaus was a tall man, much taller than Rain, but he was slender alongside it and sensitive. His inability to help Rain with the housework was a sore spot for him, and Rain sometimes exploited it to make his father squirm. I'll make him squirm, if you know what I mean. Look at him! Are you seeing him? I can't deal with this. You know I'd like to help. My work at the apothecary takes up too much time. I have a lot of responsibilities. The clients keep on coming, and you know how exacting some of them can be, especially all the Lord and Lady Whatsits who stop by. I'm not sure how I became so renowned, but business really has been booming. It's hard to find the time to breathe. I'll make him do more than square. You get me. Which might be a good thing, actually. At least it stops me from thinking. And it also stops you from dusting or cleaning the dishes or sewing the buttons back onto your shirt. Where would you be without me, What a bitch. I've definitely lived in a dirtier house, and I'd definitely live in a dirtier house, and I'd not be able to button any of my shirts. Klaus laughed and then smiled gently at his son. I hope I've not been putting too much work onto you. I do wish we could spend more time together, and that I could help a bit more. But if you left me in charge of the cooking, we'd be eating burnt mushrooms and blackened pumpkins all year round. Yes, well, that's why I do the cooking. I don't want to give myself a stomach I don't want to give myself stomach ulcers. Though, if I did get an upset stomach, I'm sure you could brew a tincture to soothe it. Stomach ulcers aren't too difficult to treat, no. Physical conditions are much less intimidating than the mental. It seems a lot of people want potions to help with their dour moods, especially the nobility. It makes me wonder what they have to complain about living in their fancy homes. What are you talking? Okay, I guess, but like, look at your home. Your home is nice. Your home is really nice. As Rain dealt directly with his father's customers, he was privy to all sorts of their personal problems. The villagers of Floret, overworked farmhands mostly, typically came to Klaus to soothe their aching backs and arms. The rich and the wealthy, meanwhile, who lived in the capital, tended to have more intangible problems. They came to Klaus because of Dolores' moods, ever-present anxiety, and stress-related headaches, which refused to go away no matter how much time they spent convalescing in bed. Convalescing. Rain had limited sympathy for these people, particularly those who were bedecked in jewels, but maybe he was being unfair. Nah, that's fair. Klaus seemed to think so too. No. Klaus seemed to think so, at least because he tutted. Now, even the richest amongst us can have problems. None of us are immune to shifts in moods. And bereavement, you know, affects everybody equally, regardless of our social statuses. I'm not the only widower in the world. I know you're not, but you couldn't afford to lay about in bed after Mother's passing, spending inordinate sums of money on potions to soothe your disordered nerves. You have to get back on your feet and start working, otherwise we would have starved. It wasn't so bad, really. The work gave me something to do. I think I would have been worse off if I had no responsibilities at all, like some of the young men and women that come to see me. It's it's people who have suffered great losses, but who have no means of distracting themselves who tend to feel the worst, at least in my experience. Being too comfortable with one's lot in life, can cause its own share of problems. Well, I wouldn't know about that. I've had to work ever since I was a young boy. Yes, you have. I do feel a bit bad about that. I sometimes worry if I might have robbed you of your childhood. It's fine. I don't feel robbed. Are you sure? Yeah. What happened to Mother was tragic, but you did everything you could to take care of me. You've always been there for me, Dad. I know that I can rely on you. Apart from the kitchen, maybe. Ha ha ha! Oh, you! Klaus chuckled in response to Rain's teasing. He gave his son a nudge under the table and leant back on his chair. He crossed one leg over the other, his expression newly ponderous, then said, "Speaking about the shop, I was actually planning on keeping it closed today." Rain frowned. This was unexpected. Klaus typically kept the apothecary open every day of the week, excepting holidays. In the beginning, after Severin's death, this had been out of necessity. Klaus had needed the money and something to occupy himself alongside it, but now Rain thought his father did it mostly out of habit. Klaus had grown accustomed to keeping the shop open, so that was what he did. Over the years, it had become part of his routine. Rain couldn't remember if Klaus had spent quite this many hours on his workshop when he had been younger, but he could recall his mother tutting at his father over the dinner table for not spending enough time with his family. Klaus had always been something of a workaholic. Rain might have inherited his trait from his father because he enjoyed working himself. It was better than sitting around idly with nothing to do. It was unusual, therefore, that Klaus meant to keep the shop closed today. Was he alright? Why do you want to close the shop? Did something happen? Nothing in particular. I just thought it'd been a while since we last had a break, and you do look rather peaky. I don't know if you're in the mood to interact with any customers right now. Oh. Rain looked at the table, tracing whorls in the wood with his index finger. What was that about? What was that what this was about? I can read. Rain appreciated the concern, but you don't need to fuss so much. I'm not a child. I'm sure I'll be alright. I'm sure you will too. You always are. You're very resilient. Though, maybe that's because you had to endure so much at such a young age. Klaus shook his head. Well, no matter. While I'm sure you could manage well enough, I'd rather not have you pushing yourself. It's important to take rest every once in a while, and we've been running low in some ingredients, too. If you're itching to do something to stave off your boredom, you could always go into the forest and collect some hellebore for me. Oh, and some angelica, too. Chill out. Chill out, Calic. Oh my god. Angelica! Eliza! Sorry, I can't. Oh my god. That was, ignore that. I've been going through it at an alarming clip with all these tinctures I've been brewing to stave away headaches. Hellebore and Angelica, Eliza. Rain thought about his father's request, his arms folded, and picky. He didn't much like going into the forest, not after Ten's disappearance, and he felt even more hesitant this morning, after his unnervingly detailed dream. But that, Rain reminded himself sharply, had only been a dream. Lamau, I'm not gay though. You're a liar! That's what you are! You're just a liar! There was no sense worrying about it. His father needed ingredients, and it was infinitely more important than getting embroiled in memories which were over a decade old. Oh, right. I don't mind going to fetch them. How much do you need? Well, both plants can keep for a long time, if they're prepared correctly, so try and gather as much as you can. I think I'll be needing it. How many headache tinctures were you asked to brew? Too many to count. It's my most popular item, especially amongst women of noble births. They can't get enough of the stuff. Well, yeah, I bet. You make it sound like laudanum. Laudanum. I have no idea what that means. Sounds like a D's Nuts joke. To them, maybe it is. Klaus chuckled and Rain smiled at him wryly. I always trip up on the word wryly. I don't know. I think it's because the only vowels are Y's, and it's just like it's so Riley. You know what I mean? Don't you get tired of brewing the same basic tinctures day in and day out? I know you're capable of much more. I know that too. Believe me, I do. Brewing the same tinctures every day can be a bit wearying. Which is why closing the shop for a day would be a good idea. It'll give me a chance to experiment, if nothing else. Oh? Rain looked at his father curiously. When Klaus didn't have any rush demands, which during the last couple of years had become increasingly rare, he would often retreat to his workshop and brew potions for his own amusement, mixing ingredients solely to see what would happen. Rain had sometimes watched his father during these lengthy experiments. It had been fun to see him craft potions in all sorts of colors: salmon pink, midnight blue, rich ruby red. Ooh, the red's coming back. What have you been working on lately? Klaus responded with a cheeky smile that made him look like a schoolboy. Pressing his index finger against his lower lip, he said in a jaunty voice, "That's a secret, I'm afraid." There's no guarantee I'll be able to get this to work. It's very finicky, which is probably why nobody's made an honest stab at making a potion like this before. I think it should prove to be very useful if I can get this right, though. But even if I can't, it should still be diverting. Okay, yeah. You know I love a challenge. You know, you're always tinkering away with your strange concoctions. You should consider yourself lucky you're so good at what you do, especially when the people here are so superstitious. If you weren't such an invaluable memory of the community, you'd be branded witch and cast out of the village in disgrace. Now you sound like your mother. She used to worry I was a little too good at my job. She was afraid people would start to get the wrong idea about me. Idea about me. But I've always loved brewing tonics and tinctures. The more unusual, the better. It's fun seeing how things will turn out, and it's especially satisfying when my indulgences are able to help people. Even if I was cast out of the village, I'd never once regret my line of work. I love it too much. I know you do. You're obsessed. Rain clicked his tongue. Sometimes I wish I could love something as much as you love your potions. I'm sure it'll come to you in time. You just haven't met the right woman yet. Woman. Sure. Klaus, who knew of his son's disinterest in all of Florette's eligible bachelorettes, smiled wryly. Or the right man? Okay, he's not homophobic, slay. Please. Rain sighed. I'd rather find pleasure in doing something practical like you than whispering sweet nothings to any man or any woman. Speaking of which, I should be off. That Angelica won't pick itself. Right you are. Thank you, Rain. Though do take care out there. I don't want you getting into any scrapes. I won't. It would be hard for me to do all the cooking and cleaning if I was mauled by a wild animal. If he was mauled by a wild animal, is this foreshadowing? Or, Rain thought mutely, a bandit, like the one who had murdered 10. It would indeed. I would still love you even if you were mauled, of course, but I far prefer you in one piece. I'm sure you do. It's easier for me to run errands with all my limbs in the right places. Oop! He's leaving. A smiling Rain rose from the table, then headed towards the door. He bent, sliding on his boots, thick, heavy-duty things made of leather, which had proven themselves useful when tramping through the forest while it was muddy. He's learned! The undersides of the boot were encrusted with grime from previous expeditions into the forest, and the leather was cracked with age. They must be old shoes. These boots had once belonged. What's the time skip? What's the time skip between then and now? These boots had once belonged to Klaus when he had been Rain's age. They were far from being pristine. It was apparent at a glance that they had seen better days, but Rain didn't mind. Many of his possessions were old and worn, hand-me-downs from either his mother or his father. These boots were older than Rain himself. Those are nice boots. But they never once let him down. With the laces tied, Rain straightened. Then he retrieved a red cloak, which hung by the door. This cloak, like the boots, was a hand-me-down, though this cloak had come from his mother rather than his father. Rain's mother, Severine, had sewn the cloak herself. It was in her favorite color, a bright cherry red, which stood out during overcast, cloudy days. The cloak had been made to suit Severine's stature, but this did not pose any problem for Rain. Sheesh! He was just as short as his mother had been, and his shoulders were just as slender. Sometimes, when Rain looked at his reflection in the mirror, he thought that he might very well have been a woman. Had his hair been any longer, he would have been the spitting image of his deceased mother. The resemblance was uncanny to such a degree. Rain often caught his father looking at him with a misty, faraway look on his face. Rain couldn't wear the cloak as well as Severine had, though. The large ribbon which tied beneath the chin had suited her, yet it made him look like a Pierrot. I don't know what that is. An escapee from the circus. Well, I guess that's what it is. Oh well. Rain was only going into the forest to pick some herbs. He wasn't trying to impress anybody. There wasn't anybody in Floret. He wanted to impress. The local girls his age were all settled down already, and those who weren't had no interest in Rain. This feeling was mutual. Rain didn't have any interest in them either. My, you do look smart. A gentle chuckle rose from Rain, roused Rain from his inner monologue. He raised his head, his fingers dropping from the oh my god, let me start over. He raised his head, his fingers dropping from the velvet ribbon he had been manipulating to meet his father's gaze. Klaus's expression was fond, but Rain thought he could see something beyond fatherly compassion in his eyes. Was he thinking about his mother again? Klaus often did that. Rain wasn't the only person who was obsessed with the memory. It must have run in the family. That cloak really does suit you. It's almost as if it was made for you. It sets off your eyes. Though, it set off her eyes too, of course. Mother was a good seamstress. Rain spoke quietly, a remark which made Klaus nod. That she was. She was much, much better with a needle and a thread than I'll ever be. I'm all fingers and thumbs. It's funny that you're so uncoordinated with a needle, when you're so capable when it comes to your medicines. I've never seen you cut yourself. I've never once seen you cut yourself. Your mother used to say the same thing. She wondered whether I was acting helpless on purpose, so the task of sewing the stray buttons on my shirt would all fall onto her. Klaus chuckled. But she soon learnt that I wasn't that devious. I'm too honest for my own good. I'm just that hopeless. Klaus was hopeless in various ways. He was skilled when it came to his potion crafting, but everything else was beyond him. His ineptitude when it came to day-to-day affairs was a marvel to behold, but it doesn't matter how scatterbrained you are, Father. I'll look after you. You can always count on me to sew your buttons for you. I know I can. You're too good for me. A baby. Klaus chuckled and ruffled the top of his son's head. Wait, I can't snooze ad. God damn it. Oops. Oh, okay. Damn it. Well, ad is starting soon, and I will have to... Oh. It's already started. It's done. It's gone. I am gonna have to take a break. I just gotta feed the dogs. And get more hot water. It's 9 seconds, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back. How was your ad? I am gonna have to be right back. I'm gonna have to go on a BRB screen. I wanted to run the ad while I was on BRB, but it was too late. Anyway, I'm gonna have to do that. I gotta feed the dog, and I will be right back. It'll be like 5 minutes max. Okay? Okay. BRB. I'm back. Yeah, I'm back. Dogs are fed. I have tea. Again. This hour? I feel like this hour had gone by so fast. Damn. Hey, I've been exactly 5 minutes. Guys, that was exactly 5 minutes. I checked and it was 7:06 and now it's 7:11. Slay! I'm so good at time. You would hardly know I'm ADHD. Okay, I'm out of breath because I was walking around and I just sat down. That's what happens when you're the type of disabled that I am. Also, maybe it just happens after you get COVID. The fuck? Why am I getting so many? I'm getting so many like spam calls. That's crazy. I got one earlier when it woke me up. Woke me up. Oh, spam calls. Anyway. Did I skip a page on accident? You're too good to me. Okay. Wait, why is it on auto mode? I don't want it on auto mode. Wait, go back! Wait, what? Wait, don't go on auto mode. Go off of auto mode. Okay, no! Okay. What the fuck? Okay, we missed a little bit of dialogue, but that's okay. Klaus retrieved a wicker basket which had been hanging alongside Rain's, or Severin's rather, cloak, and handed it to his son. A wicker basket! You can hardly go out picking Angelica without something to put it in. Thank you. I'll be back shortly. Oh, it's alright. Take your time. I don't need Angelica too urgently, and it looks like the next few days will be rainy. You might as well stretch your legs while you can and get some fresh air. The store will be closed today, so you don't need to hurry back, just... Klaus examined his son mutely. His eyes, which were full of smiles when he regarded his son, now looked curiously cloudy. Then, sounding sadder and older than Rain was accustomed to, he said, Don't try and put too much on yourself. I know how hard you work, and I appreciate it, I really do. But you don't have to make... you don't have much of a choice now that Severin is gone. You had to grow up too quickly, but I hope I've not been putting too much work on you. I don't want to make you unhappy. Dad. Rain inhaled. Klaus was taller than he was, but he hadn't been eating much himself. He had lost weight, a fact which was evident by his palm, which now rested on Rain's shoulder. It was so light Klaus might as well have been boneless. Rain didn't want to get emotional. Though this was difficult. The dream earlier had left him feeling raw and vulnerable, uncomfortably exposed. It's all right. Rain tried to reassure his father, though he wasn't too certain about this himself. I'm not unhappy. Are you sure? Klaus peered into his son's face. His expression was gentle, but his dark eyes were discerning. They saw far too much. But at the same time, Rain often wondered whether they saw anything at all. Did Klaus know that it was for Ten, not Severin, that he mourned? Rain didn't know, but he didn't want to correct Klaus. If his father wanted to find some common ground through mutual grief, who was he to tell him otherwise? Klaus had suffered enough as it was, without Rain making it any worse. We're outside? Jeez, that is grim. The sky turned grey and cloudy about a half hour after Rain set off, though it wasn't drizzling, not just yet. It seemed inevitable that the downpour would start at some point, but Rain hoped he would be back home before he could be pelted by the worst of it. There was an uncomfortable bite to the breeze, however, as Rain wandered the forest. The gnawing chill, meanwhile, nibbled insistently at the tips of his fingers and his cheeks. The wind breathed down the nape of Rain's neck, and he shivered from it. Rain didn't know when the sky would unleash its burdens, but he started to hurry. He gathered the herbs his father wanted as quickly as he could, his motions mechanical, like an automaton's. Angelica was a common herb used in many of Klaus's tinctures, and Rain recognized it without any difficulty. Rain had no particular skill beyond his proficiency at running a household. He wasn't especially strong nor especially intelligent, but his eyes were discerning. His father had trained him well. Rain had become a good replacement for his mother. Whoa, that's weird. He had assumed all of the jobs she had once taken, and had even assumed her old cloak and her old basket. That's weird. Sometimes Rain had the nagging feeling that his day-to-day actions were blotting out his mother's memory. Was this why he so rarely thought of her? Maybe he was callous, even colder than the discontented wind. Rain bit his lower lip. He thought about his father, how pained he had looked to see his son donning Severin's cloak, and he shook his head. He was getting distracted. He had a job to do. Rain dropped the herbs and freshly plucked flowers into the wicker basket which dangled from his arm, but his thoughts continued to wander. He was still thinking about Ten, more now he was in the forest than he had earlier indoors. These trees, had swallowed Ten without a trace, as if the forest itself was alive, a vicious monster with a voracious appetite. There is nothing I love more than a sentient forest. That shit hits just so right. Sentient forest, sentient mountain, sentient land. Like nature being sentient as a whole, not even like single tree being sentient, like a whole thing, a whole entity, a whole forest, a whole river, a whole, you know what I mean? Ocean, sentient ocean. Stop. It's like one of my favorite things. I think there needs to be more of that. In like a supernatural sense, you know? I love it. It needs to be explored more. Like folk tales, but it's real, you know? Rain himself felt no fear, however, as he skirted the sycamores, oaks, and birches. He had taken this path too many times to feel uneasy, and he hadn't delved far enough into the woods to encounter anybody unsavory. At least he didn't think he had. He was aware, however, that he was approaching the river where he and Ten often sat, where they had chattered for hours on end. It had been a while since Rain had come here, but he still knew the way like the back of his hand. He recognized that oak tree and the cluster of bushes beneath it, and with this burst of recognition, there came a newfound rush of desire. He wanted to take a bit of a detour. All of a sudden, it didn't seem to matter very much that the sky overhead was full of clouds. He wouldn't go too far, Rain reasoned. He just wanted to go on a bit of an adventure. And what did it matter, really, if he got a little damp in the process? That was why he had his mother's cloak. Besides, it wasn't like a bit of rain would kill him. Is this foreshadowing? Is this foreshadowing? He had been named after it after all. No, what? He had been named after it. Just that. No, after all. Is this foreshadowing? I'm sus of everything. It was with this thought in mind that Rain set off, walking briskly through the woods. He wanted to see the river again, and badly. Rain had kept away from it for years, but he was feeling particularly sentimental that morning, and he wanted to be close to anything which reminded him, even vaguely, of Ten. It was silly, in any case, to keep away from the riverside so ardently. What was he so afraid of? Ten's ghost? Rain didn't believe in such things. It was nothing more than silly, unscientific superstition. He had nothing to be afraid of, especially not Ten's memory. Even if his ghost had come to greet Rain, he wouldn't have feared it. How could he, when he had cared about Ten so much? Rain pressed on, crunching grass and crushing weeds underfoot until he arrived at his destination. The river wound through the woods, its waters glistening like the skin of a shed snake. Waters glistening like the skin of a shed snake. Beautiful. The river certainly undulated as much as a snake, with any number of subtle twists and turns, though its waters were brighter and clearer than any snakeskin Rain had ever seen. The water was a clear aquamarine, even though the day was overcast and the grass that fringed its banks were verdant. Trees lined the riverbank, but they were sparser here than they were elsewhere in the forest. A gentle wind blew, and the leaves of the trees shook. It almost sounded like they were whispering secrets amongst themselves. That's good. In his youth, Rain had heard the tales of fae folk who lived deep in the woods amongst the trees. But Rain had never stumbled across any diminutive creatures with gossamer wings during his trips into the woods. The most frightening thing Rain had witnessed in the forest was that bandit, his knife drawn, his expression one of frantic desperation. Parents and grandparents could cook up any number of fantastical stories, but people were always more frightening than any of these creatures. Rain stood at the riverbank for a few moments, his mother's basket balanced in the crook of his arm. He inhaled, basking in the curiously sweet scent which hung in the air. The grass was studded with wildflowers and weeds. Rain recognized a lot of them thanks to his many years spent working alongside his father. The lilac flowers with the slender, delicate petals were ragged robins, while the splashes of gold were corn marigolds. Over there, Rain could see slender-stemmed knapweeds, which were mixed alongside bell-shaped lily of the valleys and pale blue forget-me-nots. Hang on. Flower symbolism, we need to go back. Knapweeds, lily of the valleys, and pale blue forget-me-nots. Okay, I see you. There were so many forget-me-nots, in fact, that the riverbank was awash with them. They were so small, but oh so perfect, and they seemed to shimmer as if illuminated by some inner light. This clearing was a peaceful one, but it was just far away enough from the beaten track that Floret's other residents rarely came here. That must have been why these flowers had been allowed to blossom in their multitudes undisturbed by trampling souls. Rain wondered how many other people from Floret even knew of this river's existence. Rain himself never would have known about it if it wasn't for Ten. Ten had always known about a lot about the forests, more than any other boy his age. He had been Rain's guide whenever they had wandered amongst the trees. Rain had been nervous during their initial expeditions, but Ten had never been uncertain or unsure of himself. He had always pressed on ahead, his shoulders squared. Ten didn't fear the forest, nor the fairies, nor the werewolves which supposedly lurked within its depths. That's because he's one of them! Because he's one of them, and they would never hurt him. Ten had been preoccupied with naught save thoughts of sharing the woods with Rain. He had wanted to make him happy. Rain had been happy as a small child when he'd sat by the river with Ten, but now... It's pretty, I guess. Rain mumbled to himself, his voice small and sad and soft. But it's not the same as I remember. Nothing's really the same as it was. But I've already known that for a while. Fucking hell! One second. One second. Okay. Rain settled himself down on the riverbank, feeling newly pensive. He set aside his mother's wicker basket with the red ribbon, then lay back. His back pressed against the tall grass, flattening it, while his hands rested against his stomach. He glanced up at the sky, which was cloudy and overcast, and sighed. Maybe it would have been a better idea to come here while the sun was still high in the sky. Without the golden sunlight to illuminate all of these beautiful flowers, there was something dull and drab about everything. At least the forget-me-nots were still beautiful. There were so many of them, and they were so blue. Forget-me-nots, huh? Rain frowned. There was something sobering about them, maybe because Rain was so incapable of forgetting Ten. How many hours had he and Ten spent by the riverside talking? It had been here by this river that Ten had taught Rain how to skip stones. He had taught Rain how to climb trees, too, without scraping his knees, and how to fashion whistles out of the tall blades of grass which grew about the river. They had stripped here when it had been particularly hot, and they had splashed one another in the river's shallows. It had been here, too, that Rain had first realized how deeply Ten cared for him. Ten. Ten's name buzzed on Rain's lips. It felt like an incantation. Or perhaps it was a curse. I'm sorry that I left you, Ten. Really, I am. I wanted to help, but nothing. The sentence hung in the air, unfinished, buffeted by the cool breeze. There was no way Rain could ever forgive himself. Ten had disappeared. He had most likely died. And it was all his fault. Fuck. Rain cursed. All of a sudden, he felt horribly weary. He hadn't had much sleep the night prior, thanks to his fragmented nightmares, and it was beginning to catch up on him. Now he was no longer on his feet. His fatigue was overwhelming. It cocooned him. Then it consumed him. Rain's eyelids fell shut in increments, slowly but surely. And, with a soft sigh, Rain fell fast asleep. You can't be sleeping in the middle of the oh, what the hell? There's a baby again. They're babies. Not the red ribbon on his arm. Hey Rain, you've been sighing an awful lot lately. Is something on your mind? What? Oh. Rain glanced over at Ten, the wind catching in his hair. The pair of them were sitting by the riverbank, Rain's legs drawn up against his chest. Ten had been the one to suggest that they go on a little jaunt. Ten was always the one to suggest these outings of theirs deep into the heart of the woods. Rain would never dare. He was much too meek. His parents had always told him not to venture too far in the woods, and Rain hadn't wanted to disappoint them. But he supposed he had only one parent he could disappoint now. Jesus. Grim. His mother was already. I'm alright, Rain answered after a small pause, though this wasn't strictly true. It must have been obvious that it wasn't true, because Rain didn't fail to note the shadow which crossed Ten's face. Ten must have been worrying about him. Ten had been worrying about Rain incessantly during the last month, ever since his mother's passing. If Rain hadn't been there to witness it, if he hadn't heard her crying from his parents' bedroom as his father frantically tried to staunch the bleeding, maybe it wouldn't have left such an impact on him. Ooh, that's dark. Maybe it wouldn't have dominated his thoughts, both awake and asleep. But it was. Rain couldn't help it. Whenever he closed his eyes, he thought of his mother's death throes. His father had tried to keep him away from his mother. He hadn't wanted to upset Rain, but Rain had heard her cries. He had seen the bloodied sheets, his mother's lifeless body. He hadn't been the blotchy pink thing, which was supposed to be his brother. He hadn't seen the blotchy pink thing which was supposed to be his brother. but Rain could always imagine him. She died from a miscarriage? A miscarriage? That's shit. That is so shit. God damn. That is... oh, gross. And by gross I mean like awful, like just like not like shameful, just like that fucking sucks. Rain had a good imagination, perhaps to his detriment. He'd read too many books in his time despite being so young. Rain had been trying to come to terms with it all, but I don't think that you're really alright. You've been so quiet lately. I'm always quiet. I know you are, but quieter than usual. You haven't been laughing at my jokes. You haven't been making many. You've been looking pretty serious yourself. Well, Ten laughed. It was a sound Rain hadn't heard in a while. It felt awfully hypocritical for Ten to mention how maudlin? I've never heard that before. Rain was being, when he was being so muted himself. I guess it's hard to smile when you've been so mopey. It's been a lot for me too, seeing you so down, I mean. I know why you feel bad, and I don't want to be... I don't know, what's the word? Tactless? Ten frowned. I don't want to laugh and make jokes. Oh. I don't want to laugh and joke while you've been so down, but maybe I should have been making more of an effort. If everything's doom and gloom all the time, I'm afraid I'll never be able to cheer you up. Do you want to? That should go without saying. I mean, you are my friend. Ten shifted even closer to Rain, depressing the grass beneath him. He raised a hand, perhaps meaning to give the top of Rain's head a ruffle, but a moment passed, and he seemed to think better of it. Instead, Ten scratched his cheek with his finger, then said, I do want to cheer you up, which is why I invited you out here. I thought going for a walk might help take your mind off things. But I'm not optimistic enough, or stupid enough, to think that stretching your legs will magically fix things. Losing a family member is a difficult thing to come to terms with. I would know. 10. Aw, they're bonding! Rain blinked, surprised. He'd been so mired with his own misery he'd found it difficult to think of others, even Ten. The rest of the world had felt so distant after his mother's passing, but Ten's melancholy words helped to ground him. Ten did have a point. His own father had passed several years prior, when he had been a young boy himself. Rain had been too young to really remember that. He had only been 4 years old, if that, but he had faint recollections of trying to soothe a sobbing Ten. Rain hadn't seen Ten cry since. Maybe he'd used all of his tears up in the wake of his father's sudden passing. Feeling chastened, Rain dropped his gaze to the riverbank and murmured, I'm sorry if I brought up any bad memories. What? Oh, no, it's fine, Rain. Well, maybe you're not fine, but that's alright. It's normal to not be fine after everything you've been through. I wasn't fine either, not for a long while after my father, and... Ten's voice trailed off. He shook his head. Anyway, I wasn't talking about my father to, I don't know, belittle your feelings, or imply that you don't have it that bad. I would never do that. I just wanted you to know that you aren't alone. I realize it might feel this way, but... Ten reached out once more, the motion tentative. He drew in a breath, his hand hovering above Rain's. Then, after a brief pause, he took Rain's fingers beneath his own. You have me. 10. Rain sniffled. For a month after his mother's death, he had felt strangely detached from the rest of the world. Boy, do I know the feeling. The touch of Ten's hand upon his, however, made Rain blink. The riverbank was still missing some of its usual splendor. But with Ten's hand on his own, Rain thought he could better appreciate how verdant the grass was, how very blue the sky. For over a month, Rain's grief had left him feeling disconnected, both from the world and his own body. He had scarcely known who he was or what he was feeling. He had been unable to cry, even though he had wanted to, and badly. But now, tears finally began to prickle in his eyes. He sniffled. Then he began to sob. It's okay, let it all out. Oh, 10. Rain, my little Rain. Don't cry. Don't cry, because I'm gonna cry. You make me cry. Oh my god. 10 laughed as he pulled Rain to him. He embraced his friend, his fingers curling in his golden hair, and muttered, I guess you really are my little Rain now. You're going to get my chest wet. I'm sorry? It's alright. You don't need to apologize to me. You never need to apologize to me. I still feel like I should. I keep talking about sad things, but my mother died a month ago. A month ago? That's not nearly enough time for... Boy, you're not done. You're not done cooking. You still have a lot more emotions to go through. I should be better already. Boy! That's not how that works. I need to get over it. I don't think you need to get over anything. I mean, jeez, your mother just died. The unflinching uncertainty of this world, the shortness and the sharpness of it made Rain wince. More tears began to bead in his eyes, tears 10 must instantly have noticed, because his brow furrowed. Oh, Rain, I'm sorry. Maybe I shouldn't have said it like that. Was it too harsh? A little. You tend to be a little more, I don't know, nice about this sort of thing. Rain smiled at 10, but it was a watery smile accompanied with still more sniffles. I didn't think you'd just come out and say it. But you're right. My mother did die. I guess I need to come to terms with it. She's gone, but I'm still here. I don't think I'll be joining her anytime soon, so I need to try and move on. This is making me tear up. Oh no! Well, good. I'm glad you won't be joining her anytime soon. If you left me, I'd be distraught. 10? Rain blinked up at 10, his wet eyes wide. Are you alright? Oh, Rain. Little Rain. 10 exhaled. Why are you asking me if I'm alright? I should be the one asking you that. You're the one who's suffering. I'm trying to be here for you, but I'd like to be more than just a shoulder to cry on. I'd like to try and make you feel better, but I don't know if that's possible. Wait, who's speaking now? I messed it up. No, I didn't. Okay, we're good. No. I'm not sure myself. I don't really understand how I feel, but... Rain sniffled. I can't help but feel just a little resentful. Of what? I don't know. Of my brother, maybe, for killing my mother? But I never had a brother. Not really. My mother gave birth to a corpse. He wasn't even breathing. He'd probably been dead for a while. But he still took my mother's life with him. It's not fair. Bitch! Henry's more tissue. Life often isn't. I know it isn't. It never is, but... Ryan stifled, his fingers curling against the front of Ten's shirt. I never even spoke to my brother, but I think a part of me hates him. I hate him for being born. But I also hate my mom. Oh, I've been supposed to be speaking in a British accent this whole time. Too bad. But I also hate my mom for trying to have a baby. My dad for letting her to do it despite the risks. That is so fair, and you are so valid for that. They knew she was old and her body was frail, and she might not be able to handle it, but... Rain gritted his teeth together. His fingers clenched into fists as, unbidden, even more tears began to bead in his eyes. Worriedly, he looked at Ten, and in a damp voice he said, "Is that bad of me, Ten? Does that make me evil?" "I don't think so. You're grieving, so it's normal to be upset." "I'm not upset, though. At least, I'm not just upset. I'm angry, too." "Yep, be angry. Be angry, be angry." "I'm so angry. It's hard to look at my dad in the face. When I saw him sobbing at the funeral, I almost wanted to tell him, 'I told you so.' But I know that wouldn't be fair. I know my dad's also suffering. He's probably suffering more than I am. He loved my mom a lot. I don't want to question his feelings for her, but if he really cared, how could he let her do that?" "How could he? Well..." Ten seemed to ponder this, his blue eyes glancing across the river. He frowned. Then lightly he said, "I don't know if it was the case of letting her do something." "What?" "You're talking like your mother was a child who couldn't make her own decisions, but I don't think that's fair. She was a grown woman. She knew there were risks involved when she fell pregnant, but she wanted to take them anyway. She thought it was worth it. She probably would have felt too guilty to abort the baby, and your father realized that. He loved your mother enough to let her do what she wanted, even if it would... Fuck! I'm not okay. Oh boy. Even if it wound up hurting her, he wanted to have faith in her. I can't do this anymore. I can't. Oh boy. Oh shoot. Wait, no. Go back. I'm fine. It's fine. We're fine. Oh shoot. And look where that got them both. My mom's buried under the ground and I'll never see her again. I know it must hurt. I'm not arguing that. But I'd like to think that your mother was happy with her choice. If nothing else, it was hers. That choice killed her. Yes, but her choice was wrong. She sacrificed her life for a baby which never even breathed, and she left me behind. I actually need this tissue box right next to me. Not I need to stop having to reach for it because I need it on hand at all times. She abandoned me. I'll never see her again. I can't even tell her how mad I am at her. Fuck me then, I guess. Oh my god. I can't tell her. Is that a word? He coughed, Rain coughed, even more tears coursing down his flushed cheeks. Oh, fucking hell. I can't do this! I can't tell her how much I hate her. Oh, Rain. Ten winced. Surely you don't mean that. I do mean it. But maybe I do. I don't know. I can't tell. Everything's been all messed up since she died. But being left alone like this, it hurts. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it fucking hurts. Yippee! Oh my god. Oh boy. Oh boy. I'm sure it does. I've been in similar situations, so I know how it feels. But Rain, please. Ten hugged Rain even more tightly, resting his cheek atop his head. No matter how much it might hurt, you don't have to bear this by yourself. At the very least, you still have me. I'm here and I care about you. I'll protect you, I promise. Ten smiled, his blue eyes impossibly gentle. He didn't look at all annoyed, even as Rain sobbed against his shirt. Instead, he regarded his young friend as though he were something precious. He gave Rain's slender shoulder a squeeze, and leaning in, he pressed a kiss against Rain's forehead. It was a soft kiss, which didn't linger, and it contained no more traces of affection than a pet once might give a family member. Sorry, I need a moment. I need a moment. Ooh. This is a little hard. This is hitting a little hard for me. Ooh. As someone who has experience with a certain grief similar to this, it's not wrong. It's pretty much on the nose. Not exactly this. My mom died of cancer, but I get it. I get it. Not a drama dump on you. Oof. Or lore drop. It's actually just lore drop. Instead of saying every time I trauma dump, I'm gonna just say it's a lore drop now. Ten had probably meant to be reassuring, yet Rain's heart still fluttered. He exhaled, then sobbing even harder, he buried his head against Ten's shirt. The rest of the world might have been full of perils if he didn't fully understand, but at least he still had Ten. Not for long. Ten wasn't going anywhere. Not for long. Ten was still with him. Not for long. Oh boy. Oh boy. And Rain knew that, come what may, he would always love him. Sorry, my nose is so stuffy now. Oh, that was heavy. What? Rain was roused from his slumber by an uncomfortable cold sensation, one which made him shiver. He blinked, his eyelids fluttered. Oh, sorry. Let me get some more tea. He blinked, his eyelids fluttering, then sat up, or at least he tried to. His head felt disconcertingly heavy, however, his thoughts disturbed like fallen leaves and his vision skewed. Rain winced, then pressed a hand to his temple. How long had he been lying by the riverbank? He wasn't sure, but had grown even colder while he had slumbered. A chill breeze stirred Rain's mantle, so it fluttered. Icy droplets, meanwhile, fell from the sky overhead, striking the crown of his head and the nape of his neck. It was raining. Fuck. Rain cursed under his breath, a curse which his father would have scolded him for, had he been able to hear him. Klaus had always been a sensitive soul, and he disliked foul language of any kind. Klaus wasn't there, however, which was part of the problem. Rain knew that his father would be worrying about him. He could hardly while away his hours in the forest, dallying. Oh, sorry, my eyes hurt. Oh my god. I need to rub my eyes. He didn't want his father to fret, though it was probably too late for that. If Klaus had one talent beyond brewing tinctures, it was fussing about the welfare of his only son. Ow, that hits harder now. Rain shook his head in an attempt to rid himself of his residual weariness and rose. His joints felt stiff after lying down for so long, and his body was uncomfortably slow and heavy, almost lumbering. You know, his dad probably also feels an immense amount of guilt for that as well. Damn. Rain wasn't particularly tall, and neither was he particularly muscular, but it felt like there was far too much of him to maneuver. It must have been because of his impromptu nap. Ooh. It had thrown his senses, and all of the rain didn't help. His clothes were so wet they stuck to his skin. Rain sneezed, his nose was starting to drip snot. Me too, boy. While his hair leaked moisture down his forehead and cheeks. Ugh. I hope I'm not coming down with the cold. Rain sniffed, sucking up a a snail-like trail of snot which had escaped his left nostril, and turned. He still felt disoriented, but there was nothing to be gained by standing gormlessly, another new vocabulary, by the river. He had to get back home. Rain tried to keep his wits about him as he skirted the trees, his gaze discerning as he glanced through the forest. His shirt was stuck to his skin, and his trousers were uncomfortably damp from where he had lain on the riverside. Tremors racked him, and he sneezed again. Achoo! The sound was explosively loud, so much so it made even Rain jump. Was it loud enough to alert any wolves? Rain knew that wolves lurked in the woods. His father had warned him enough times that when he'd been a young boy, and several more when he was an adult, not to stray too far from the path. If only he had listened to his father's advice, then Ten never would have... Rain cried out in alarm, the sound even louder than his earlier sneeze. He'd been so caught up with the thoughts of Ten that he'd stopped paying attention to his surroundings. Boy! Oh, what did I expect? He felt his foot snag on something, a tree root perhaps. Then there was an uncomfortable burst of white-hot pain, which seared in his ankle. Too bad, you gotta get up and keep going. You gotta get up and keep going. His foot was burning, his ankle and shin too. Your father's an apothecary, he can deal with it. Rain gasped, but you might be disabled for forever. I don't know, you might have to cut it off. You know, people have to amputate limbs from like sprained shit if they like if you get a sprained ankle and if you put off, fixing it, and if you like put, too much weight on it, too much pressure and stuff, if you do that for long enough, you're gonna have to amputate your foot. I'm sorry, but that's just what happens. Not in every case, but just people don't realize how easy it is to become disabled. Anyway, the not a part of this story. What is it called? Tangent? Yeah, tangent. Shit. And then rather dramatically, he pitched forward. His arms reached out, groping in the dark for something to cling to, but in vain. There was nothing to break his fall, nothing except the ground, which rushed to meet him far too quickly. Fucking... Rain cried out as his shoulder hit the dirt. He hurt so much he couldn't even finish his particularly vicious expletive. Another sharp spike of pain ran through his right side, a spike of pain which lingered. This pain wasn't as bad, however, as the pain which was assaulting his right ankle. It felt like it was on fire. How badly had he twisted it? He hadn't broken it, had he? If so, he was really fucked. He was deep in the woods, away from the well-worn paths, and it was already dark. The rain continued to lash down like spears, striking his hair, his cheeks, his side. Why did everything hurt so much? Rain's ankle hurt horribly, but he knew he couldn't keep lying there. If he did that, he would be as good as dead. Rain tried to stand, his fingers curling up against the mud for purchase. Ugh. But he hadn't the strength to haul himself to his feet, and anyway, his right... And anyway, his right ankle hurt so much he doubted it would be able to hold his weight. Rain crumpled onto the ground for a second time, a sad and sorry thing. Even more mud splattered his shirt, his shorts. The rain was coming down even harder now. The drops hit Rain so hard that even that hurt. The sky, meanwhile, was rumbling ominously. Was that thunder? The whole forest turned white for a few moments, a bright searing white which hurt Rain's eyes, and the ground shook. It was definitely a storm. Fuck. Rain struggled once again to stand, but he had even less energy now than he had before. Once again his strength deserted him. The pain in his right ankle flared up to a nigh-on unbearable degree. The pain washed over his body like a tidal wave, obliterating all sensible thought. The inside of his head was seared clean. He fell, deafened, into the dirt. And with a soft whimper, Rain's eyelids fell shut. His ankle hurt so much he could no longer remain conscious. Boy, you better get up! His breathing began to even out, his fingers curling helplessly against the dirt, and he passed out. You can't just pass out. Oh, it's blue now. That's cute. The man was walking through the forest when he saw him. Oh. It was late, and the sun had already sunk beneath the horizon. What little of the sky he could see through the gaps in the trees was a dark indigo shot through with stars. It was raining. It had been raining on and off for the last few hours, though the rain wasn't as incessant as it had been. The rain had been so bad for a brief spell that the man had been bidden to take refuge in an inn on the outskirts of Clarence before resuming his journey back home. That was why he was wandering the woods at such an hour. The rain had rather delayed his plans. Over his back, he carried a bag full of various wares he had bought at Clarence's market, mostly flour and sugar, and there was some bread, cheese, and milk, and various other items he could not procure himself from his own garden. The man had been walking back as swiftly as he could, trying to keep to the shadows to avoid getting too wet. This might have been been a lost cause. His hair was already sticking to his cheeks. Oh, sorry. I'm trying to get comfortable. His shirt to his skin, but he wanted to avoid getting damper than he needed to. Going to the market was always a production, given it took such a long time to walk there, but the weather had made this already tiring trek even more diabolical than it needed to be. The man was fully prepared to return to the warmth of his home where he might relax. Oh! But the curious sight sprawled before him made him pause. There was someone lying there, only a few paces away, beneath the shade of an oak tree. It was a young man with very fair blonde hair, who was attired in a cloak redder than blood. How peculiar. He must have gone for a walk in the woods, and he must have fallen. Perhaps he had broken his foot, and in fallen had given himself a concussion. That would make sense, the wanderer supposed. He could think of no other reason why a young man, though he was so small he looked more like a boy, should be lying in the woods so very late at night, while it was raining so heavily. The man adjusted his grip upon his knapsack as he pondered. What should he do? It would seem wrong to simply leave the young man there. He was small and slender and would be a target for wolves if he didn't soon rouse himself. But that really wasn't his concern. They were perfect strangers, at least that was what the man thought. But his blonde hair did look rather familiar. What was he to do? Take him home, my man! What? My first choice of the day! First choice of the day. Let's go. You're taking him. I'm taking you home with me. Oh shit, I should have saved there. Wait, go back. Wait, go back. Wait, go even more back. Shit. Fuck. Damn it. Oh, I'll figure it out later. Like I even have a choice. The man smiled wryly, his teeth unnaturally sharp in the moon's light. Why had he wasted so much time standing there, pondering? The right answer was immediately obvious. He couldn't leave this young man, on his own, even if he was a stranger. He never would have been able to forgive himself for that. There was nobody else this far in the forest who might find him. It was quite deserted, save for the rabbits and squirrels. And, of course, the wolves. Abandoning him would be akin to signing his death warrant, and now the man was beginning to wonder. Had he seen this damp, scrawny figure before? Maybe it was his imagination, but he looked familiar. That blonde hair was jogging the man's memory. Maybe it was wishful thinking, but could you really be? He is! He is! Ooh. Ooh. When Ray was young, he said all the time with 10. Oh my god, is this like an intro? Was that all the introduction? Oh my god. It's already been 2 hours. This changed, however, when 10 disappeared after being attacked by a bandit in the woods. We can do an announcer voice for this. Cute! Oh my god, it's the intro! What the hell? Over 10 years have passed since that day, but Rain still misses 10. Oh, shit. Boy, what the fuck? Okay. Okay, did y'all see that shirtless, sprite? Excited. 0. Oh my god, he's now 0. Stop it. And then Rain meets this mysterious werewolf 0. I wonder who it could be! I wonder who it could be! What the? Could 0 really be Rain's old friend coming back to the washroom room? Stop. That's so gay. Wow, that was Act 1. We gotta save. That was Act 1. Guys, do you think we can even make it to Act 2 at this rate? I might have to pause in like the middle of Act 2. Because I usually don't for reading streams, I don't usually go for more than 2 hours. I usually don't make it to 3, so that's just because my voice gives up at a certain point. But yeah. Oh boy. Here we go, I guess. What the? The first thing Rain heard when he awoke was the crackling of a fire. The sound was distinctive. He recalled it well from the days he had spent helping his father with his apothecary, chopping herbs, crushing roots, and stirring raw ingredients on the stove. It was a homey sound, one which Rain associated with an honest day's work and the long dark nights which followed. God, he's so cunty. Just looking up at him, he's so cunty. Oh my god. Rain and his father had often sat by the fireplace when the last dregs of the summer sunshine faded, huddled together by the red-orange flames for warmth. The irregular popping of the wood put Rain at ease. But the second sound he heard was far less welcoming. He could hear, though faintly, the howling of the wind, the rumbling of the storm, the incessant pitter-patter of the rain. Rain himself might have been warm, swaddled in blankets and curled up next to the fire, but the weather outside was diabolical. He's gonna be trapped here because his dad said it was gonna be raining for the next couple of days and he's not gonna be able to leave, but then he might try to leave and then he might die. It's gonna be very Beauty and the Beast coded, I believe. I believe. Rain winced. The back of his head hurt, as did his shoulder, but his ankle hurt more than the rest of them combined. It was a throbbing, persistent sort of pain which made him squirm uncomfortably. What was going on? Rain glanced about curiously, groggy and lightheaded. He looked so cute, I don't know why. 'Cause he's in pain. That's why. He hoped to find himself his own home, curled up by the fireplace as his father doted upon him. But it wasn't to be. His surroundings were unfamiliar. It's pretty though, goddamn. He was in a home, but it wasn't his father's in Floret. It was much, much smaller and more crowded. The ceiling was low and sloping, the floor strewn with miscellany. Never seen that word like that. Rain could not immediately place. I would break the... okay. Yeah, same. The wooden floor was a patchwork of rugs and throws, all stacked on top of one another like a display in the market stall. There were so many assorted rugs, in fact, that Rain wondered they might catch alight. All the more because the fire crackling within the grate wasn't protected by a fender. Why are these dogs howling? The muddied pair of boots rested by the door, and the various pots and jars were arranged, though maybe that wasn't the right word, haphazardly on every available surface. This is so pretty. Who did the backgrounds to this? Oh my god. This is gorgeous. Rain had always thought that stray socks and shirts belonged in the bedroom, but it was clear whoever owned this house didn't agree. Who cares? He lives alone. Who cares? Who gives a shit? This room seemed to double as both a storage cupboard for old, unwanted clothes and a pantry. When Rain lifted his head, he could see garlands of garlic hanging from the rafters and strips of meat which had been left to cure. 2 wheels of cheese were lying on the countertop, and there was a basket of bread on the table, which made Rain wonder whether whoever owned this cottage hadn't returned from the market in a hurry, desperate to get out of the rain, and they'd thrown their purchases down any which where. Of course they did, because you were with them. It would explain why everything looked so messy. The smell of herbs was heavy in the air, and of salt. It was intense enough to overwhelm the smell of the wood as it blazed bright red in its own funeral pyre. Bro, you just got saved from being eaten by wolves in the woods. Maybe to be eaten by a different kind of wolf, if you know what I mean. But and the first thing you do when you wake up is like, oh, this guy needs to clean up his house. Jeez. What the fuck, bro? There was a table, upon which was heaped with yet more miscellanea, including a tarnished old candlestick, and on the sills Rain could spy even more plants. Cute! Or were they herbs? Rain wasn't sure. All he knew was that he was somewhat unfamiliar. Rain tried to rack his mind, wondering both where he was and how he could have gotten there, when... Here we go, baby, here we go. Oh, thank goodness. Wait, hold on. I gotta make my voice ready. I'm gonna have to pee soon if I'm drinking all this tea. Oh, thank goodness. I was starting to worry you'd never wake up. You'd been out for the count for a small eternity. What? Rain gasped, then turned his head sharply to one side. You know what? Me too, dog. Me too. Bow wow. Oh, I have so many tissues here. From crying, not from other activities. Rain gasped, then turned his head sharply to one side. He had been alone upon waking, but no longer. The front door was ajar, and a man was framed in the entrance. The man was tall, much taller than Rain. His height was such that the top of his head was dangerously close to brushing the rafters above him. His hair was very pale, though it turned darker at the tips, and it was tied back in a ponytail. I love that! Bro, it's so beautiful. Actually, I think I need to take this filter off, or at least make it lower, because you need to see him in his full glory. Hang on. Let me just opacity. Oh, that's not what it does. Oh, wait. Wait, how do I make it less? You know what? We're taking it off. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, we're taking it off halfway because this coloring is beautiful and it's what I like. Clearly. This is how I like to color stuff. Like with the blues and the purples and oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Look. Phew. So pretty. His hair was tied back into a ponytail. The man was damp from having been outdoors, though this didn't seem to bother him. It certainly didn't dampen his smile. He held a wooden pail in one hand, but he set it to one side upon seeing Rain. He closed the door behind him, then approached Rain. There was nothing overly intimidating about him other than his height, but Rain still flinched away from him regardless. It hit him, as the man approached, that he was with a complete stranger deep in the forest. Who was this man, and what did he want from him? Rain had no idea, and this uncertainty made him wonder. Uneasily, he eyed the man. There was something familiar about him, uncannily so. I wonder. He was taller than Rain recalled, and his hair was longer, but he really did look a lot like 10? Rain stared at the men, hardly daring to believe. Could it really be his estranged childhood friend in the flesh? He had never seen Ten's body after all. It was always a possibility that he had survived, that he was alright, but... Beg your pardon? The man smiled as he lopped over to Rain, one hand resting on his hip. Does he have amnesia? Is this an amnesia trope? Are you counting? You know you're usually meant to start with 1, then work your way up from there. But I think you had a pretty nasty fall, so I'll forgive you for that little mistake. Boy! Did you hit your head very hard? What? Oh, no. Rain looked away from the man, his eyes downcast. Then he sighed. Of course the man wasn't 10. Why would he be? Ten's body had never been found, but he'd gone missing over a decade ago. There was no way he could still be alive, and if he was, Rain doubted he would act like this mysterious man. Ten had always been so noble despite his humble upbringing. There had been a quiet sort of dignity to him, which this man was completely missing. The way he held himself was reminiscent of many young men in Floret who spent their nights in taverns drinking. Rain knew that the man couldn't have been a regular at one of Floret's taverns, however. If he was, he would have remembered him. Okay, are you just glossing over the fact that he has ears and a tail? I mean, it's normal for me, but like, I don't know if your universe that's normal for you. His was a face which was hard to forget. It really did look like Ten's. Rain had almost been certain that he was 10, but the man seemed to not have any idea what he was talking about. There was a possibility, of course, that he was lying, but why would he? What did he stand to gain? Rain frowned, chewing on the inside of his cheek as he said, "Sorry, I just thought you looked like a friend of mine, but it seems I was mistaken." Rain looks so cute though, it's something. I'm not gay though. Uh-huh. Keep telling yourself that. If you keep saying you're not gay, then I'm gonna snatch him up for myself. You better own up to it fast. Oh boy. It's alright. You were out cold in the woods for ages. I reckon that'd be enough to scramble anybody's head. Speaking of which, I'm glad you're awake. I was starting to worry. You didn't half give me a start when I found you. I thought I might have been hallucinating at first, finding a skinny little thing like you sprawled in the middle of the woods. You were so still, I was afraid you really might have died, especially since you're so scrawny. Chill, bro. Chill. It's enough to make me wonder what they feed you over at that village. Haven't the harvest been up to snuff? I don't... Well, no matter. It's been raining so much tonight, it should help feed your crops for weeks to come. Maybe we can consider it a blessing, eh? The man smiled as he took a seat opposite Rain, pulling the wooden chair above. What the fuck is going on with my brain? Pulling the wooden chair against the wooden floorboard so the legs squeaked. A little bit gay? There we go. There we go. We got him. The sound was unpleasantly shrill. It practically perforated Rain's eardrums, and Rain winced. Had he done that on purpose? That really was an odd place to go for a kip, though. What the fuck is a kip? The man folded one leg over the other. They were quite nice legs, really. They were visibly muscular, even through his trousers, which clung to his toned physique so tightly it was almost indecent, and leaned forward. He's already checking him out. You know what? Me too. Who's to blame him? Then, with a smile which showed rather a lot of teeth, he said, Why anybody would hunker down in a dirt for a nap while a storm's brewing is a mystery to me. But maybe you can enlighten me. The way his tail goes down and then up and... Stop it. What were you doing out in the woods so late? Did you get lost? No, Rain tried to reply, but he couldn't formulate more than a few syllables. Is he standing right now? I hope he's still sitting, because his ankle's still hurting, no? Something about the way the man spoke was bothering him. The man was being friendly, but wasn't he being a bit too familiar? His tone was disarmingly casual, given this was, supposedly, their first encounter, and his smile was a touch too wide. His smile was rather unsettling, actually. His incisors were much too sharp, sanded down into fine points like those of a dog's. Like me! Hehe. This wasn't the only bestial quality that the man opposite Rain possessed, either. Rain hadn't noticed it earlier, he'd been too taken with the man's face, but now the man was sitting at such close quarters he could scarcely take his eyes off the top of his head. He's gonna ask to pet him at some point. He's going to ask to pet him at some point. I should make a bingo card. Asks to pet the ears, runs away in the rain, gets saved again, be gay. You know, the classics. Also amnesia plot. Sorry, I had to stretch for a bit. Off the top of his head. There, growing from his scalp, was a pair of eels. Eels? Ears. Sharp at the top and fluffy all over, just like a wolf's. Rain had never seen a person with ears like this before. He hadn't thought it possible. It shouldn't have been possible. Unless... Oh? The man, perhaps seeing Rain stare, glanced upward. Are you looking at these by any chance? He reached for one of his ears, then pinched it gently between his thumb and forefinger. In response, his ear twitched. It was a movement so subtle Rain mightn't have noticed it if he hadn't been staring at the man's unusual ears already. But he did notice it, and it made his blood run cold. Those ears weren't some sort of strange accessory after all. They were real. Did that mean he wasn't human? Certainly, he wasn't an ordinary human. He couldn't have been. There was something very wrong with this man. His striking resemblance to Ten was only the beginning. What in the world was he? Hey, I gotta go to the bathroom real quick. I really do, and I also don't think my throat will be able to hold up for much longer. So as soon as this scene is over, we might have to end. I know it basically just started, but we'll pick it up next week. But I do have to go to the bathroom now, but we will continue for a little bit until yeah. Yeah. Okay, BRB. Okay, I'm back. Okay, I'm back. There's been no music so far, I think. I mean, not so far, but like, it's been pretty quiet recently. Anyway. There was something very, very wrong with this man. His striking resemblance to Ten was only the beginning. What in the world was he? Rain stared at the man, trying to remain calm, while the man smiled, seemingly unaware of Rain's discomfort. He flashed his sharp teeth. Oh, there's music. He flashed his sharp teeth. Rain wished he wouldn't, as he said, as though this was perfectly normal. I guess they must have caught your attention. You've been staring at them ever since I sat down. Part of me is glad you're taking such an interest. But it's kind of hurtful, too, you know? No, not him sulking! Oh my god. He's a manipulative little bitch, isn't he? Isn't he? Look at that face. I've half a mind to tell you that my face is down here, not up here, like women do. Is down there, not up here. Boy. But in reverse, of course. The man, but was he really a man, grinned, a sharp-toothed grin which, though irreverent, made Rain tense. I would manipulate Rain too so I could get it. Shut up. I suppose I can't blame you for staring too much, though. I know this has got to be pretty unusual. I'm not kinda special. I don't see too many men out here with ears like mine, or at least I don't. You don't see too many men out here with ears like mine, or at least I don't think you do. I've been living in the woods for years and years, and I don't bother with you humans unless I'm going to the market. I've never seen anybody like me out and about in Clarence, but maybe I've not been looking in the right places. It'd be nice if there were more of my kind around, so I wouldn't be so alone. But I'm going to guess, based on your reaction, that this is your first time seeing somebody like me. Yes. Rain swallowed, lubricating his throat with his own saliva before replying, which I should do too, but with tea that is now cold. That's right, I've not seen anybody with ears like yours before. It's a new experience. I should have known. I guess that makes me unique. The man leant back in his chair, his smile now taking on a self-efficacious edge. I don't need to be a werewolf to tear Rain's boy! Still don't blame you, though! You're not wrong, though! I keep on hoping that I'll be accepted one day. But I guess, yeah, that ain't happening, not with all of the fear-mongering. We're not exactly pretty, popular party, guess. I understand why you humans don't care to mingle with the likes of me, but it still smarts. I've done my best to live on the straight and narrow despite my condition. But I'm getting ahead of myself. You've probably guessed it already, so I'll give it to you straight. These ears are a dead giveaway, and so's the tail, I suppose. The man's eyes bore into Rain's. His voice might have been light, but his stare was penetrating. His irises so blue they could have put the sky to shame. There was something strange about his eyes. They didn't quite seem to suit him. That's a weird thing to say. It's a weird thing to say. I love it. They were strangely cold for how irreverently he had spoken, and calculating alongside it. These were the eyes of a killer, Bella. Of a man who had seen things. You've probably figured it out already, but I'm a werewolf. He just came out with it. He just said it. What? Rain had already assumed as much, but the sheer nonchalance of the man's confession caught him off guard. Why didn't he sound more ashamed? Did that shock you? The man smiled, his sharp teeth flashing. It really shouldn't. It really shouldn't have, based on the way I look. I'm surprised you didn't work it out already. But you look smart, so I'm sure you would have gotten it eventually. Rain opened his mouth, then closed it. He could no longer meet the werewolf's gaze. It was too unnerving. I did have an inkling. But I thought all werewolves were supposed to be violent, even when they look like ordinary humans. I've heard stories, horrible stories, about the things werewolves can do to their victims with their bare hands. I thought, if you really were a werewolf, you would have tried to attack me already. Oh, how judgmental. The man laughed softly. I'd like to scold you for that. It's not fair to paint all of us werewolves with the same brush, you know. I'm afraid you might be right. Oh? He's not denying the allegations? I try to be on my best behavior, but the only other werewolf I've met in my time was the bastard who turned me. Ooh, I love it! Ooh, I love it! Ooh, I love that flavor. That's a good flavor. That's a good flavor. Now, he is a real piece of work. I don't have anything nice to say about him, though I was pretty young when it happened. I can't remember the finer details, though I think that's for the best. I might be happier not knowing. If I could see that bastard again, I'd give him a real piece of my mind. My life was a bed of roses before all this shit happened. He fucked everything up, good and proper, and now nobody wants to spend time with me. He's so cute! Oh no, he's so sad! Everybody's afraid of me, or especially... Huh? Cute young things like yourself? Okay. That's not creepy at all. That's not creepy one bit. You take the wolf, I take Rain. Okay, it's fair trade. Handshake. We're good. It really is tragic. The man's voice trailed off. He shook his head. But let's not dwell on that for now. There's more to me than a sob story and a mouthful of sharp, pointy teeth. I know I might seem scary, but you can overlook the whole transforming during the full moon thing. I don't think I'm all that bad. Cute young self is so vile though. That is so nasty. Nah. Nah, that's immediately, you're like immediately cancelled. That's not okay. Oh. I've always tried to be a decent guy, at least. At least. And yes, I do consider myself a guy. I even have a name and everything. What is it? You want to know? The man grinned mischievously while Rain frowned. Well, you are the one who brought it up. I am indeed. Wait, I guess it wouldn't be fair if I didn't follow up on it. I'm Zero. I'm not sure why my parents call me that, but it seems kind of fitting. Does he have a canine penis? You know what? I've been wondering that too. I've been wondering that too. You know, there is a not safe for work patch for this, so... I mean, I get to see it, but you'll have to buy the game for it. I guess I'll find out. I'll find out off stream. Oh my god. I mean, that's how much value I can contribute to society now. It's not like I can hold down a job since everybody will run away from me screaming the moment they figure out what I really am. I wanna see it. I'll bet you do. The man, the wolf, Zero chuckled. And you? What's your name? Why should I answer a filthy wolf? You don't deserve to know my name. He's already being racist. He's already being or speciesist. I don't know. This response stung Rain's tongue, though he was able to swallow it. What's the word? Xenophobic? He's being xenophobic. Insulting his host might not have been the wisest decision, especially given how sharp his teeth were, how sharp his nails. What sharp teeth you have. Rain didn't trust this creature, this Zero, but he didn't have a death wish. I'm Rain. Like the weather? Exactly like that, yes. And I thought I had an interesting name. Is there a story behind that? You know what else is sharp? How are you gonna make that into an innuendo? I want to see it. Go ahead. What else is sharp? Go ahead. It's not very exciting. It was raining when my mother gave birth to me, and I guess she wanted to be reminded of that. Severine had developed a fondness for rainy days after Rain's birth. She said they brought her back to that day, when she had brought Rain into the world. Why she wanted to be reminded of childbirth was a mystery, all the more because it had eventually resulted in her death. If I was with him, it'll be raining all right. Okay. Oh boy. Oh boy. But maybe that showed just how much Severin had loved him. Zero seemed to think so because he smiled. Your mother must have cared about you a lot. I'd like to think so, yes. Rain sighed. He looked down at his lap, his expression pensive, and said, Huh? Okay. Oh, fuck. I didn't expect it. Wait. Oh, I can save, yes. She'd be distraught if she knew about this. She did warn me not to talk to strange men. Oh boy, I don't know which one to do. I want to do the second one. I think that'll... I just want to. I just wanna! I'm doing it. I don't think my mother would have approved of this arrangement, come to think of it. No? No. Rain sighed, his arms crossed. She told me not to talk to strange men. But I didn't have much of a choice, I guess. I guess not. I'm sorry if I made you disobey your mother's wishes, but I wasn't about to leave you lying in the dirt. I would have felt much too guilty. I mean, that would have been the same as letting you die. Now that's funny. I wasn't aware that werewolves could feel guilt. Bro! Bro, chill! Fucking chill, oh my god. Well, now you know. Why don't you look on it as a learning experience? Yes, I'm learning a lot. And in a very short space of time, too. This can't be good for my head. Does it hurt? Look at him! Look at him, he cares so much! Oh my god. I did smack it against the ground, so what do you think? Good point. I, hope it's not too bad? He's so awkward, I love him! I'm alright, I think. This is just a lot to take in. I'm still not sure why you swooped in to save me. It's not like I'm your responsibility, and it sounds like it's still raining out there. I was probably more trouble than I'm worth. I doubt many other people would have bothered with me. It seems like you have a pretty dim view of humanity for somebody with such a cute face. Boy! You're being so creepy. Stop being such a freak. Please, please. Please, I'm begging, stop being such a creep. Oh, he's been alone for too long. He's been alone for too long. What? What indeed? But you're forgetting something. I'm not an ordinary person, remember? How could I forget? I was being serious too when I said I just wanted to help. It wouldn't have sat right with me, leaving you out in the rain and cold. I would have worried about you. If I said that, you'd slap me. I would slap you and then block you on all platforms. You don't know me, though. Do you really think that? Huh? Huh? Okay. For a few moments, Rain faltered. Once again, he had to wonder why Zero looked so very much like 10 and whether it was a coincidence. But he was being silly. There was no way Zero could have been 10. They were too dissimilar. Of course, I've never seen you before in my life. Well, maybe not. But I never would have had a chance to know you if you died. This way, there's at least a possibility that we might become buddies, eh? So creepy. Is that what you want from me? Rain scowled. He knew he should probably be more considerate, werewolf or not. Zero had saved his life, but he couldn't ignore his ears or his teeth. They were too disturbing. It was with a taut, tight expression that Rain said, his arms crossed. Huh, wait. Don't befriend people I don't know. I don't befriend people I don't know. I don't befriend Bro, chill on the monster thing. We're not doing that again. You're so crazy. You're so crazy. You're so crazy. People I don't know. Sorry, but I don't make friends with people I don't know. Stranger danger and all that. Even after that stranger helped you out of such a tight spot? Even so. Wow, you really are a mommy's boy. It's amazing that you're so dead set on following all of her rules, even now. Don't poke the hornet's nest. Though I guess I'm glad you consider me a person at least. That's a nice boost for the old self-esteem, even if you are being very prickly. This is how I always act. What a bitch. Aw, and here I was, silly me, thinking I was getting special treatment. What a freak! What a freak! And why in the world would you think that? Rain raised an eyebrow. I thought being a werewolf was supposed to enhance your strength. I didn't realize one of the side effects was making you stupider. Oh, they're flirting now. Oh, they're flirting. Rain will be named Drought after our trainer. Stop. Stop. god! You're crazy. Oh wow, how feisty. Rain had thought that Zero's smile might fade with his retort. Was he going too far? But Zero surprised him. If anything, his smirk grew even wider. He snickered, leaning in to ruffle Rain's head. Rain scowled, and said, his voice a lilting sing-song. I didn't know you had such a sharp tongue on you. For such a run, you sure act uppity. You're not some wandering prince in disguise, are you? No, I'm not. I'm the son of an apothecary. Now get off me. An apothecary, Zero retracted his broad palm from the crown of Rain's head, smiling as he did. Is that why you were out in the forest? Were you gathering ingredients? That was the general idea. I didn't count on taking a nap by the river or on getting caught in a storm. That ruined my plans. I imagine it would have. Well, never mind. I found you and you'll be alright with me. I'm not a big bad wolf who feeds on humans. Not indiscriminately, at least. I'll be as good as gold, so you don't need to worry. I won't even nibble you. I swear on your father's life. Shouldn't you swear on your father's life? Yeah, I thought something was weird about that phrase. I can't. He's already dead. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. That's fine. It was a long time ago. I don't think about it, so you don't need to apologize. Not to a mutt like me. He calls himself a mutt. He calls himself a mutt. Guys, get yourself a man who calls himself a mutt. That's so... I'm fine. Zero smiled indulgently while giving Rain's head another ruffle. Once again, Rain scowled, though with less acerbity than before. I don't know what that word is. You know, for someone so self-righteous, you're kind of cute. What? I'm not. He's blushing! He's blushing so much! I guess he liked it this time. Rain began, but a sudden crack of thunder made him jump. Oh, what's this now? Are you scared, little Rain? Little Rain? No, I'm not scared, and I'm not little either. It just took me by surprise. Whatever you say. It's true! Sure it is. You know, I get the feeling you were something of a scaredy cat when you were growing up. Am I right? Well... Rain glanced away, embarrassed that Zero was right. In his youth, Rain had been somewhat of a coward. First young, now now little, he's giving me red flags. Yeah, but I still like him. They're not red enough. They're not red enough. He had been a target of some of the other boys who were now men, who spent the nights drinking, and he'd been permanently attached to Ten's side as a result, afraid of harsh words, and even more afraid of throwing stones or physical blows. Rain had been afraid of everything when he was younger, the dark, being alone, mosquitoes and thunder included. The only time he hadn't been afraid was when he and Ten were together playing in the forest. That had been a long time ago now. Rain wasn't as much of a coward as he had been, though this was largely out of necessity. He couldn't afford to keep jumping at every small sound, now that Ten wasn't there to reassure him. He had to become self-sufficient. He had started to pull protective layers around himself like a cape. But Zero's pale blue eyes were alarmingly discerning, and he must have been able to see past Rain's facade. Lightly, he laughed and said, It's all right. You don't need to answer me. I'm just teasing. You seem to do that a lot. It's just my way. I can't help it. I've always been like this ever since I was a kid. Though, I guess it's more pronounced now. It's been a while since I've had anybody to talk to, ever since Granny Anya died. You'll have to forgive me for running my mouth. It's rare that an opportunity like this comes up. I imagine it must be rather isolating, living all the way out here. You have no idea. Isolating is putting it lightly. But never mind that. I know the thunder might be scary. I am not scared. But don't worry. I'm here and I'll look after you. I promise. Okay. Rain looked at Zero dubiously. He took in Zero's broad shoulders, his pointed teeth, his long, sharp fingernails. Even if Zero hadn't been a werewolf, his stature was such that he could have bested Rain with ease in any competition of raw strength. He was a good head taller than Rain, and he was muscular alongside it, so much so he might very well have weighed almost twice what Rain did. I'm not convinced. If I had to choose between you and the thunder, I'd rather take the thunder. He's being a little bitch. He's being a little bit of a bitch. That's so slay. You mean you'd rather wander outside in this weather? Another crack of lightning split the sky as Rain spoke, and the air fizzed once more with thunder. The dark sky outside the windows turned bright white for a brief moment, the glare so intense Rain winced. Zero seemed to take this as victory because he smirked. That's what I thought. Now, I think we've gotten the introductions done with, so I think it's high time I gave you a bath. What do you think? A bath straight away after an introduction? Boy! What? Rain looked at Zero flatly, his lips pressed together. It took a few moments for the full brunt of what Zero had said to hit him, but when it did, he stared. What do you mean you're going to give me a bath? Exactly what it sounds like. I don't know how long you were out in the rain, but your clothes were soaked through when I found you. I changed you into one of my old shirts, but I'm not sure if that's enough. I don't want you catching a cold. Just let me tell you, you were really cold. No, what? You really were cold when I found you. Your skin was icy, just like death. That's why I went out earlier. I was getting water from the well, so I can fill the tub. Don't you want me to wipe you down? I'm no apothecary myself, but I think it's just what your father would order. The logic behind Zero's words was sound, Rain supposed, but he still scowled. I don't think my father would want a strange man to see me naked. Not even if that strange man had your best interests at heart? Boy, you better shut up right now. You better stop talking. Huh? This guy, he needs to stop. There is a big red stop sign that he needs to say. I'm holding up a stop sign. Stop. Fucking, I need to bonk him right now. Bonks in the chat. He needs to be put down. Yeah. He does. I can't, like, put it off anymore. I can't excuse him anymore. He's gotta. Rain also need. Okay, yeah, true. That remains to be seen, doesn't it? I saved your life. We can't know that for certain. I could have very well been fine. Yes, you looked it, lying in the dirt with your ankle all swollen. You were the very picture of health. Alright, you don't need to be sarcastic. Says you. Zero stuck his tongue out playfully, while Rain scowled. Stop it! He goes from creepy to endearing, and I don't... It's messing with my brain. And my heart. He knew Zero had a point, irritating though it was to admit it, but did Zero really need to bathe him? Rain was more than capable of doing that himself, or at least he thought he was. He hoped he was. He didn't need Zero to supervise him like an overzealous parent, but Zero looked awfully eager to aid him, so much his ears were twitching. Don't do that! Rain didn't want to turn this into an argument, not when he already felt so tired. In the end, Rain... No, don't do that! That's too fast! What do you mean? You can do it yourself. I need to save. Jeez! We're not doing that. We need to have some common sense, please. Please have some common sense and safety precautions. God. If you think I'm going to let you strip me naked, then you're sorely mistaken. We barely know one another. You're expecting far too much from me. Oh, Rain, you say that like we're strangers. We are strangers. But I've seen you naked already. Another time shouldn't hurt, surely. I'm sure it wouldn't hurt you, but this isn't about you. What about me? I'd like you to think, what? I'd like you to think a little bit about my feelings. You see, you're just as much of a red flag as this guy now. Ugh. But I might be expecting too much from a creature like you. Again, oh my god. What? What do you mean? You know what I mean. I'm sure you've heard it enough times in the past. Stop breaking his heart! I just said not to do that, but you don't have to be mean to him. You don't have to be so mean. Why do you look shocked? Why do you look so shocked about what I'm saying? Well, why do you look so shocked that I'm saying what I'm sure everybody else says about you? Rain held Zero's gaze, his eyes unforgiving. Boy, don't you know a thing or two about bullying? Weren't you at the end of the bullying stick? I don't understand why. This is bullying! A few moments elapsed, during which neither man spoke. The sound of crackling fire filled the cabin, mixed with continued falling of the rain outside. A few icy droplets struck against the roof, the window. Zero inhaled. Then, looking rather browbeaten, he hung his head. Alright, fine, have it your way. I was just trying to help, but even I can tell when I'm not wanted. Me. Zero squared his shoulders, perhaps in an attempt to muster up a few remaining dregs of dignity. His eyes once more found Rain's. For a few moments, Rain wondered whether Zero might say something. It looked like there was something on his mind. But no response was forthcoming. Zero swallowed his words, whatever they might have been. Then, looking unusually somber, he turned and left. Eat! Damn! His neck is looking mighty biteable right now. Mighty biteable. My tea is so cold now. Wait, okay, we're not gonna start with the bathtub scene in the next. Okay, let's be done with this scene, and then we're gonna go through. Let's be done with this scene, and then we can end. We're not gonna open up next stream of this with a bath scene. Come on. Unless this runs too long, we'll see. Ooh. Rain sat in the bathtub alone, his legs pressed against his chest and his arms wound about them. The water in the bath was only lukewarm, but the fire was making a valiant attempt to heat it. Rain stared at the fire with unfocused eyes, watching as the tongues of red, orange, and yellow undulated in the grate. The firewood crackled, eaten away by the intense heat, and the water in the tub turned orange-red from it. Rain shifted. He pressed the arch of his back against the lip of the tug, feeling the warmth imbued in the wood tingle in the curve of his spine. I don't know where that was difficult. His toes curled against the tub's wooden surface. Don't talk about toe curling. Don't talk about that. No, not right now. Look at his lips. Look at those plump ass lips. Oh my god. Then he sighed. Once more, his thoughts turned to his father. What would he be doing at this advanced hour when it was dark as pitch and pouring it down with rain? It was depressingly like that he would still... Oh no. It was depressingly likely that he would still be awake, eaten up with worry. If he could have, Rain would have reassured his father, but he feared that this was impossible. He couldn't leave, not when his ankle was so sore and swollen. He never would have been able to navigate the woods in his current state. And, in any case, he doubted that Zero would let him leave. He had proven himself, in the brief time Rain had known him, to be an awfully interfering busybody. Until his ankle healed, he had no choice but to stay here and endure Zero's company. It wasn't a prospect he liked very much, but he didn't have a choice. He was trapped. Oh boy. Okay. I think that's... Is that where we end today? We've almost gone for 3 hours. I rarely stream to 3 hours, so this is crazy. This is crazy. I think this is where we end today. This is where we pause. Right before bedtime, and there's only one bed. Oh no, what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? Only one bed. Why is he... No, he's not butt naked. Okay, that's okay. But he's almost butt naked. Look at this guy. Jeez. Jeez. 8-pack? An 8-pack? Really? Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Alright, I have a bunch of tissues to, clean up. I'm so normal. Yeah, you so are. I can tell. You're so normal. We're all normal. We're all completely normal about everything about this, okay? Okay. We're fine. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh, we're not gonna raid today. That's okay. I don't... Oh, what the hell? Not that. I hate the new raid, thing. What is it? It's just like a new format. I mean, it's not that new, but newer. What the hell? Okay, yeah, we're gonna just end. I will see you on Saturday, where we will be starting a new book, Remnants of Filth, aka you. Beautiful. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Okay. Okay, I'll see you then, and we'll pick this back up, rather, next week. Probably, on Monday, because I want to give myself a bit more of a gap between, like, full-on reading streams, like visual novel, because visual novels are pretty much just reading streams. Show me not safe for work bad. No! I am gatekeeping. Maybe later. But yeah. I'll see you on... I forget all my days. Oh my goodness. I forget all the days of the week. Not Sunday. Saturday, if not Monday, if not Wednesday, if not Saturday again, if not Monday again, if not Wednesday again, and so on and so forth. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And, take care of yourself. Bye.